I will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. If we could go ahead and have our staff call the roll so we can establish a quorum.
At this time, I'm only asking those board members attending in person to respond by saying "here" when I call your name. I want to remind you to unmute your microphones by pushing the button on the base prior to responding. Alternates, please also state your name if you are attending on behalf of a board representative. Mallory Sanat. Nancy Yarnell. Wendy.
Here.
Oh, Nancy, we'll be able to call you into the meeting in just a moment. Thank you.
I'm in.
Thank you. Alyssa Kramer.
Here.
Maralisa Amador. Marie Dorsman. Angela Choice. There you go.
Here.
Robin Manuel.
Here.
Palm Beach County Community Action is will be marked absence for this meeting. Marlene Ramnon. Laura Schultz. Elizabeth Clark.
Here.
Robert Goodman. Just so the record is noted, Robert Goodman is here. James Bonfiglio.
Here.
Michael Corbett.
Here.
Takesha Saffold. Chelsea Reed.
Here.
And the private transportation industry member will be marked absent as well. We do have a quorum.
Thank you so much. All right. So are there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. The following board members have requested permission to participate remotely. Nancy Yarnell, due to caretaking needs at home, and Nancy is with us virtually. And Takesha Saffold has requested access or to join us virtually due to a work conflict, but I don't see her quite yet joining us. I will let you know if she does join.
Okay, thank you. To my board, do we have any issues with these folks participating remotely? No? All right, great. So let's go on ahead.
Additionally, Mayor Reed, staff is requesting to add item 4B, the 2023 meeting schedule to the agenda. A print copy is provided on the dais.
I appreciate that. So I'll talk about that a little bit because I did talk about that for my agenda review, just to make sure that we go over the schedule for the year ahead. All right, so these members are now approved to participate remotely, and Amanda's going to note their attendance in the minutes. So could I get a motion to approve our minutes, to adopt them as presented with the removal of 4B for the meeting schedule?
I move to approve the minutes for August 24, 2022 with the removal of item 4B.
You got it. Great. And I have a second from Ms. Kramer.
Second.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, right. Great, ladies. Thank you so much. All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, lovely. Just to talk about it real quick, let's get it out of the way. I wanted to make sure that everyone had, and thank you guys for providing this, a schedule for next year's meetings. I don't know about you guys, but my schedule for meetings is already booked out until about June at least. So please assure that if you're on this committee, you're able to attend to this. If not, we highly recommend that you let your alternate know well ahead so that we can have a quorum. Because we're just shy of a quorum today. We don't want that to happen because we only meet 4 times a year. Pardon me? Oh yeah, with pleasure. Is that better? Okay, so nonetheless, so since we only meet 4 times a year, please do review the calendar, make sure that you're available. And if you're not available, do let your alternate know. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Moving along, we're going to move on to general public comments. Instructions on how to provide public comments are included in the agenda. Staff, do we have any comments?
Not at this time, Madam
All right.
Chair.
Thanks, Amanda. And we're going to move on. I'm going to invite any board members to comment on items that are not on the agenda. For the board members participating remotely, please utilize the raise hand feature in the Zoom platform, and then remember to unmute your microphone once you're recognized. And let's see. We talked about having alternates available. Do we need to update attendance?
Yes, Madam Chair. For the record, Marie Dorsbond has joined us and Laura Schultz.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. We're going to move on to
Kelsey?
yes, sir. Oh, I didn't see your card up. Go
Yes.
ahead. Yes, sir.
Hi, Jim Bonfiglio, representative for the elderly. I just wanted to inform the board that a few weeks ago, I saw a couple of articles about a pilot program in Spain and in Germany where the government sponsored rail trips for its citizens and allowed unlimited rail travel for $9 a month. Anywhere they wanted to go, wherever the rail lines travel to. And I know Europe is a little bit different than here with respect to rail travel, but apparently it was a successful program. They estimate, for example, in I think it was in Germany, that the program saved 1.6 million tons of air pollutants into the air, saved hundreds of thousands of kilometers in travel, which obviously eased the traffic burden on the roadways, reduced the incidence of traffic accidents. And I thought that would be a great idea to look at here for Palm Beach County. So I forwarded the articles to Greg and asked him to look into it. And he is looking into it. And I also thought looking ahead, they'd probably want to do a pilot program. So I thought our constituency would be a great pilot group to test out the feasibility of this. Obviously, we'd have to work with, Palm Tran, Palm Beach County for funding. But I just thought this was a great idea to ease our traffic problems, reduce pollution, get some of the cars off the road. I think we all read the article over the weekend, I think with Palm Beach Post, about the Okeechobee corridor and how the traffic has increased there. So I just thought it'd be a great idea to at least look into it and use our constituents as the pilot program to see if this was a feasible way to number one, help our constituents, number two, get people off the road, number three, save pollution and save traffic. So we are working on that. We're going to liaise with Palm Tran, and I also thought Brightline might be a good transit to look at too about using this program. If you'd like to read the articles, I can circulate the articles, but anyway, that's an update of what I'm looking at to try to do here for Palm Beach County.
Well, goodness, we appreciate that. Every little bit helps. And I know that the TPA is working really hard on Okeechobee, looking into the feasibility study of light rail or dedicated bus lane on Okeechobee so that we can find a way to unclog some of that. Nothing like being stuck in traffic and watching a train or a bus go by with 60 people on it, making you want to get out of that traffic, right? So that's great. And maybe, Greg, we could layer in some of the outcomes tracking on how many people utilize Palm Tran for a free ride to the polls for the election. So perhaps that might be something that we can add
they're all
to that
different
look.
kinds of things I think we can do to encourage not only our constituency, but all Palm Beach County residents to use the trains, get them out of their cars and save a lot of problems in traffic congestion, traffic pollution, things like that.
That is great. Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. My pleasure. All right. With that, we're going to move on to our liaison report. We've got Greg Gabrielle, our liaison, with his report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have the liaison report at the desk for you and also on the projector. So members are encouraged to give me a call. Basically, if you have any comments to discuss the agenda, if there is any items that you have questions about, this is something we want to extend to you to make you better prepared and actually assist you during the meetings. So feel free to call our office, call me directly, send me an email if you want to know any information regarding the agenda once we send it out. In addition to that, also, I am hosting a phone call. It's really 10 to 15 minutes call, just because reintroduce myself to you and give you some more times and really get to know what you guys care about and to make this meeting much better. From my meeting, that's when I actually spoke with Mr. James about the research that he saw and other members I spoke about, to know that elderly people at the county line, that they wait because of transitions. Some of them wait, and how to better work that with on the fixed route. So there are more issues that can be talked one-on-one that so feel free to give me a call, schedule that meeting, and then we can talk about any issue or things that you have in mind. On December 15, we'll be having the TPA board meeting, and that will be at 9 o'clock and here at our office. And back in August, we had the CTD conference and training workshop where the Mayor Reed and Mr. Ferry attended this workshop with us in Orlando. Can you go to the next slide? So at that meeting, we basically went to various workshop and training. And here you can see a picture of myself, Mayor Reed, Mr. David Dorn, which is the CTD executive. And also you have Commissioner Myra from Orange County, District 3, and also Virginia. She worked for the Metro Plan. And don't miss Ranger here in the picture. That's the dog for Mr. David Dorn. So we did learn a lot at this training, and those slides are already up on the CTD website. If anyone would like to see them, we can actually share the link with you guys to see what presentation were made. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair. Oh, God, sorry. We do have on the desk that the TPA did work with Palm Trend on updating the brochure. And this is an item that was requested before, and as needed basis to share. It is not an item that we plan on circulate over and over, but really basically the people that need it the most, that we will share this with them, whether it's via email or if we have to print one as needed. So we bring it before you to see this brochure. So it really has all the information on about the TD service, fares, and a big summary of the entire program. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Does anyone have any questions for Greg regarding his report? All right, well, I would definitely encourage everyone to take that 15-minute phone call if you have it, just even if anything, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Any information you may need to know, Greg is a valuable resource. The meeting was wonderful. Since I am new to this chair seat, it was great for me to sort of drink from the fire hose of TD for a couple of days and get caught up. So thank you guys so much for assisting me with that. And this looks great. I was wondering why there wasn't a QR code on it, but if you're saying it's mostly sent as an email anyway, that's probably why, because most brochures I see these days, yeah, go for it.
So for the record, Lou Ferry, I'm the senior manager of Palm Trend. So this actually originated with a former advocate who always asks, you know, I don't know, how do you become eligible? What does it mean to become eligible and all that? But so the TPA created this upon his request. And so it's always funny because I always had a conversation with him where transportation, especially the specialized transportation like Palm Trend Connection, is very similar. My analogy is it's similar to a real estate agent, right? You're not looking for a real estate agent until you want to either buy or sell a house. But you know they're out there and you know there's houses to buy. Well, with transportation, you don't really look for this until you need it. And the one big thing we have to think about here is in our TDSP, our Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan that you guys ratified last meeting, I think it identified close to, I know, over 200,000, possibly 500,000 potential TD riders. So of course, if every rider that could possibly ride TD rode on a daily basis, we wouldn't be able to provide the service. That's why we try and, if you're near a bus route, we encourage taking the fixed route bus, things like that. So we feel as within Palm Trend Connection that we're hitting as many people that really need the service as possible. So, but this is definitely a great resource, especially for some things that like Mr. Goodman does when he has his Century Village and he has his information settings and have something like this out there just to see if people need it, things like that. But it's always, I always say be careful because we can't help everyone, right? Just like we had the presentation last meeting, you know, there's a wait list to be held for certain things, but we don't want the transportation to be like that. So thank you.
Fair enough. All right, thank you. You can keep your mic on because I believe you're next. So we're going to move on to our action items. We're going to move on to the motion to adopt our fiscal year 22 annual operating report. So we're going to, actually, are we having Palm Tran? Thank you. Okay. All right, Palm Tran will be presenting this item. Are there any public comment cards yet? I don't believe so. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Claudia Salazar. I'm the Grants and Capital Project Analyst for Palm Tran. The TD program provides a grant, the TD Transportation, again, Disadvantage. And the annual operating report has a lot of information as to how do we utilize those funds and the services that we provide. Again, Lou Ferry, our Senior Manager for Paratransit Services, is also here to answer anything on paratransit. But what we wanted to show was that, again, we have two kinds of services that we provide with this funding. The brochure that you received especially addresses low income. So transportation disadvantage is for those who is a transportation disadvantage. And again, you're on the board, you exactly know what we're trying to target. And again, it's usually elderly, people with disabilities, and low income. We have a transportation service that covers, again, all of Palm Beach County. And the TD Pass for the month costs $75. And for some people, that is quite a lot of money just to put together the $75. We have a program that, as the brochure indicates, because of your income, you get to qualify for a pass that is going to cost you $20 or $15 a month. So it opens up your accessibility to transit. And again, same for the paratransit service. There is a requirement that we provide paratransit services within 3/4 of a mile of our fixed route. That is a mandate, and yet Palm Beach County offers transportation throughout. Everybody who is outside that 3/4 of a mile distance from a bus route gets to have connection if you qualify. And again, that is how we also spend the dollars that are provided. So I'm going to go over main numbers that we have. Again, this report includes a lot of information. We just wanted to give you an overview. So that you have an idea of what is it that you're approving, because we do need your concurrence with what we report every year. Where do I click it? Yes, it's not working. Okay, so we're going to understand what this is. AOR, Annual Operating Report. It has financial and operational overview. It has information about the kind of trips that we have, and we'll go over those. But the most important thing is the transportation disadvantage did this for everybody who receives this grant. We have to submit by a certain date, but the Commission of Transportation Disadvantage also has to review. And with this, we are substantiating, do we need additional funds? Do you still need what you're getting? Are you spending everything that we give you? And that's exactly what these programs are supposed to do. Review, are you using your funds accordingly, and are you using them all? May I please have the next slide? What are the requirements? We are required to submit this report by September 15 of every year. The report covers 1 year, but it covers the fiscal year of the state. So it begins on July 1st, and it goes until June 30th. And then when that happens, by the end of that, again, September 15, we are to submit the report. The report that we submitted is for fiscal year 21 to 22, July of 21 to June of 22. Then by the time the Commission of Transportation Disadvantage reviews everything, they are instead, again, they're going to go and submit this to the state, because the state is the one providing this funding, so they can have an overview of the entire program in the state. So we're one step, and then it's going to go further to the next. May I please have the next slide? These are the main things for us. Again, we had other things that we have to report, but we wanted to bring your attention as the comparison that we have from previous years to now. I'm sure, again, you have seen ridership for PAMTran and for paratransit diminished a lot after COVID, and we are again climbing back out. But it's a good thing to look at 3 years, just because you can see where we were in 2020 at 600,000 trips and where we are today at 132,000 trips for fixed route. So these are the people, again, that were using the discounted passes. At the same time, we have complimentary paratransit service. Remember, within the 3/4 of a mile, you qualify to, again, use PAMTran connection, and we are getting there. Again, we had 400,000 numbers last year, but went back in the 500,000, which again is comparable to what we have in 2020. So again, more mobility, people are starting to go back but do their lives, getting where they need to go with connection. Paratransit, and that's just the definition for this program. For us, all of PAMTran Connection is paratransit service. For the annual operating report, paratransit is that service that we provide outside the 3/4 of a mile requirement. So with that, we have that we used to have 150,000 trips outside of that area in 2020, and we're about, again, half that now, about 78,000 trips. And yet again, it is increasing from last year. And we go back, anybody that is far from transportation, from fixed route, you are transportation disadvantaged. Again, you have issues with mobility. How do I get there? Even if I can walk to the stop, there's not a stop within 3/4 of a mile of where I go. 78,000 people were able to get transportation because of this program. So the total trips that we reported were 744,000. It's still a decrease from their last year, but again, we are getting there. We know that, again, we're going to get better as we continue to, again, go over the barriers that we have to get people where they need to go. May I please have the next slide? What are people using their trips for? So there's information that we have when we book the information, again, when we survey the people that use the bus passes. And as you get to see, the highest numbers that we have are for employment, for people that are educating, training, again, the elderly that go to daycare. Those are the higher numbers that we have. But yes, we have almost 100,000 people that get to go to their medical appointments because of the service that we provide. We have 33,000 people that are able to go into the nutritional services to have their meals. Palm Beach County has great senior centers where you can go in and have a free meal, but you need to get there. If you are in those programs, you get to call us and we get you there. We have life-sustaining, other things that people have to do. You have everyday business. There is no requirement that you have to have an important trip to do. Everybody needs to have access to mobility, and that's what this program does. So we have 744,000 trips that were sponsored in a way by this program, and that's what we want people to know. Again, we are using it, and it's getting to everybody in Palm Beach County because there are no barriers for anybody to use our services. Next slide, please. Vehicle data. One of the things that happen more than anything is to understand, for us to be on time, for us to be reliable, is how are we doing in managing our trips. And the great thing that I want you to look at that is, remember, we have less ridership than previous years. I want you to look at the mileage. The mileage over 9 million miles, comparing very close to last year, which means there are people that are going farther. They are getting to other places. Again, we do have a huge county to cover. But most importantly, that shows somebody who needed to get a job that lived in Palm Beach Gardens, maybe has to go all the way to Boca or Lake Worth, they have been able to do it. Look at those miles. Those are the things that we want you to understand when you look at the reports that we complete. The road codes, half of last year. Now, we have been taking great care of our assets. Again, we get money from the states to buy some of our vehicles. We have to properly maintain. PAMTran owns the paratransit vehicles, even though we have contractors that provide the service. Just to keep an eye, there's that oversight, and it shows half of the calls that we had. Again, we are doing much better in managing our fleet. Accidents, we can go a whole day reviewing the data of preventable and non-preventable accidents. We get hit all the time. We also, again, get accidents on our own, but we are doing well. It's not going over the time. And again, with the percentage of miles that we're covering, look at the number of accidents. So we are doing well. The training is helping that we provide to our drivers. Number of vehicles. We are over what we have in 2020, and we have less than we have on 21. And what I want you to look at is the number of drivers that we had. These right now, if you didn't know, we are on a crisis right now with drivers for fixed route and paratransit. It's a national event. It doesn't matter how much you pay. The moment we raise it up, the next people raise it up again. And you can go and deliver for Amazon or FedEx, and you don't have to deal with the public. We are helping the neediest people. It's not an easy job. So not everybody stays. The latest numbers that we had is we lose 50% of our new hires within 2 years. 50%. We are not retaining our staff. And again, there's many circumstances. And for many people, again, we have great benefits. We have a pension, but this job is not for everyone. So I want you to look at the number of 377 drivers. We should be at 436, and we should be even over that because of the number of vehicles that we have. With the number, and this number is lower now. Remember, this was July 1st of 21 to June 22nd. I know for a fact that today that number is higher. I mean, it's lower, and the need is higher of the number of drivers that we have. But yet, I don't want you to forget over 700,000 trips provided. So we are doing the best that we can. Any ideas, anything else that we can do? Again, we do need to check out what else to do because we are not competitive at the moment. And we are very expensive. So these are the things to understand. And we're not raising fares. We are still giving, again, the great programs because we know we are serving people who are transit dependent. They have no other choice. These people cannot afford Uber. They don't have a credit card to connect it to Uber. So we have people, again, with low income, and we are doing, again, the work that we were set out to do, which is provide public transportation. It's available to everyone. Next slide, please. So the whole summary for everything, I go back 744,000 trips that were completed. Again, people that got served, vehicle miles, we have over 9 million miles that we were able, again, to transport people from these 21 to 22. We did have no shows, but I also want you to look at the numbers. With the programs that we have now, with technology, Connection has been great at getting a lot of new things to confirm people trips. Look at the number of no-shows, complete drop from previous years. Again, there were policies, people fought it, but we had it in place. Again, what we have to do, and there had to be consequences for you calling and not being ready. That driver is gonna go from wherever they were to go to your home, and then you'll go, oh no, I'm not gonna go. It took a phone call again to make us go there. You can call us back and let us know that you're not riding. The number of complaints is another number that I want you to look at. Let's go back to 744,000 trips. We do have complaints, 1,700 of those. It's not even 0.5%. And that's where we go. People are getting what they need to go. There's always gonna be people that are gonna complain. And there are hard days where, again, traffic is crazy and we're late for everything. But I go back for the road calls and the things that we're doing. Again, we are getting there on time. Yes.
I just wanted to add, that is a big number for 20 to 21, but just, of course, COVID. So there's a lot of people that were no-showed because we showed up and they decided that they didn't want to ride. So remember, that would have been July 20 to, July 20 to June to 20. So it's right in that, in the middle. That's why there's so many no-shows.
Yes. And again, unprecedented times, but we still want to see how, again, that's where we want to be. Again, more trips, less complaints, less accidents, so that we're doing what we need to do. Next slide, please. Does anybody have any questions about the AOI report?
All right, so I see Mr. Goodman. Can you, let's,
Oh,
one
moment,
second,
Mr.
sir, just
Goodman.
one moment.
Is this report available to us as a board?
Yes.
We got a similar report as I remember last time I was here. And it was in front of us as you went over it.
Exactly. So right now, what we have is the draft. We have submitted this. You guys have again adopted and approved it. And once approved, then we can distribute because should there be any changes. But that's why we present a summary of what we had reported so that it can be reviewed and approved. And then, of course, it's open for the public.
Thank you.
All right, so Michael.
Great presentation. What other county provides this level of transportation? Not many, right? No way.
That was actually something that we all came away with at the conference was I was almost reticent to talk about how much our county helps with a program like this one and with all of the transportation with Palm Tran. It is extraordinary. We're really, really lucky and thankful that the county commissioners continue to approve it.
Yeah, this program actually with the grant, it's a 10% match. So let's say we get close to $3.5 million. So you're supposed to match it by what? 350,000. We match it by close to $2 to $3 million. And there's no county that does it by that much.
Anything else, Michael? All right, Mr. Bonfiglio.
Yes, I was kind of gobsmacked by the decrease in trips from fiscal year 2020 to 2022. And, not so much the vehicle miles, but also by the CTC trips. My question is do you lose funding based on the decrease in the trips? Or do you base the funding on the vehicle miles driven, which is fairly close to fiscal year 2020? And how does that funding work when you lose that ridership?
The transportation disadvantage looks at everyone. And again, everything affects exactly. There is a formula that they have, but over the years, we have also thought about what we do. So again, if everybody else is just trying to meet the 3/4 of a mile and trying to provide that service and their numbers go down in comparison to us who are targeting the funding for everything outside of that 3/4 of a mile. So we have thought they do review everybody in a different way, but they also have a formula that is given by the state. And Lou attends many a meeting where that is discussed, and we're always waving that flag that we do not follow under your formula because we're above and beyond. And some years, that's my personal opinion, I think we get, that's your choice. And some other years where you have people that listen and go, you are going above and beyond. So let's keep that in mind, because if anything, we just keep at least trying to keep the same amount of funding that we have, because the rest is pitched by the county. So there is a formula. That's what they continue reviewing every year, this and compare us. But Lou can give you even more about how much do we go to those meetings to let people understand the number of trees do not compare, because we go above and beyond the requirements of ADA.
So Jim, I think you're talking about the reduction in the fixed route trips when you look at it.
Right.
Is that correct? So interestingly enough, so the grant that we get is just a 12-month grant. So for the sake of argument, let's say we get $200,000 a month. It doesn't matter if we provide more trips than that. It's just 200,000 miles, 200,000. So what we did in billing for this year, we actually billed the TD trips, the actual paratransit trips. In previous years, we were able to bill more of the bus pass trips. If you remember when we brought you the TD rate, when we brought the rate model to you, you saw that we actually increased the rate model because the rate model is the number that for the formula, we're supposed to show what actually happens in this county, right? It shows. So I think that went up exponentially, but they told us if you put the rate higher, you're going to buy less trips from us. So you see that we're buying less trips because the rate was higher. It's this shell game. And I think if you've attended a lot of these meetings, you can hear me say, what the TD Commission is trying to change, what the biggest problem is, they treat an urban just like they do a rural, just like an urban. And Mayor Reed saw that when she was there, and I commented a lot. So yes, I do advocate for this county a lot, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for Hendry County to be looked at the same way as Palm Beach County and Miami-Dade and Broward and as such. So we actually had to reduce the amount of fixed route trips that we bought from them. So that's really the biggest reason why that decrease for the reporting.
I think that the other thing, and I'm gonna make a note to bring it to next year's presentation, because what Lou has explained is it just the requirement of the AOR, because I had to learn it to do it. The requirement is I'm only supposed to show for those fixed route trips what we bill. For the next report, I'm going to show you total. Lou explained, we overmatch it. So we provide more than the trips that the AOR allows me to report, because it's supposed to be just show me what you did with the TD money. And that I have to limit myself to that. And that's exactly what we did. So for next year, I will make a note, the comparison. So again, you as a committee get to see everything that was provided, and the AOR requires me only to report what was done with the TD funds.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, the formula is essentially examined every year, and you anticipate that increase coming up. Is that a fair statement?
They
For the
actually
next
have,
fiscal year?
yeah, they actually have an initiative right now with Cutter, which is the Center for Urban Transportation Research up in Tampa, to actually look at that methodology and change it. So they're constantly
Okay.
looking to change these things my thing is there should be the transportation disadvantaged funds, and it should be broken out into urban and rural, because the rurals are always fighting with the urbans because we have more population, we have more miles, we have more trips. So of course, where's the money going to go? The money's going to filter in there. So it's been very difficult throughout the years for them to figure out how to just to real quick for those that are new. The TD program was actually created for those outside of the ADA area, because the ADA area is theoretically covered by the fixed route bus, right? And by that mandate of ADA paratransit transportation. So those small rural counters or even here out in the acreage or west where you couldn't get transportation, the TD transportation would kick in. But it's, as with everything in the world, it grows, especially here in Palm Beach County, where our Board of County Commissioners is very generous and they want to treat everyone the same, no matter where you live. So it makes it challenging for us, but it's also good for our citizens.
Okay. And if I'm reading these numbers correctly and hearing you correctly, you're anticipating perhaps a bigger increase for the next fiscal year, like in number of rides and routes and need for drivers and things like that. What happens if you get X amount of dollars, whatever that number is, and 10 months into the year, you run out of money? What happens in month 11 when you're out of money that was funded to you because of this increase? I'm informed in that decision, but in that problem, because, you know, I'm an attorney, Palm Beach County Courthouse, you know, they always under allocate funds for the courthouse from the state. And, you know, for example, at the end of the fiscal year, they have to cut down retired judges. They just shut down trials for a month because they don't have the money. So I don't want to see us shutting down rides, because I mean, you can always, you know, continue a trial, but somebody, you know, still needs to get to work. Somebody still needs to get medical treatment. So how do you account for that potential shortcoming?
So that's where the generosity of Palm Beach County is. We pretty much ran out of TD money in the third month, fourth month. All the rest of it is ad valorem from the county. So we budget accordingly. We forecast the amount of trips, you know, that we did last year, and forecast how many are we going to do this next year. And the Board of County Commissioners, with your tax-paying dollars, pays for that. And they've chosen to do that. However, on the TD program on this side, this board has the power to put trip priorities, to put trip limits. So there's many a county out there in Florida where they say, we get $2 million, we've matched it by our 10%. We're going to see how many, okay, so every day is 40 trips. Whoever has the 40 trips, that's it. That's all you get. Or you prioritize the trips. We're only, as that slide showed, which is important, we're only going to do it for medical, we're going to do it for life sustaining, we're going to do it for jobs. But you can't go to recreational, or you can't go. And there's also the other thing we haven't talked about is fare. So on the TD side, on the transportation disadvantage side, we can charge whatever we want. If it costs $40 per one way on a paratransit trip, you can charge them $20, $25, but it's $3.50 fare here. So there's a lot of things we can do. It's just you don't want to hurt the customer, like you said, because then the customer can't ride. So we are extremely generous here in Palm Beach County. And throughout my 20 years, they've never stopped funding it.
Yeah, we're extremely
Right.
grateful. I will say that every time we
Yeah.
meet. We are extremely grateful for the support of the county commission.
Well, that's all good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All
And
right.
you.
again, to bring it to perspective, that's what I ask you to do then, again, as you go on for the next year, the TDSP plan that just came in. We make sure that we have put, again, transportation as a priority, of course, again, the replacement of our vehicles, because my job is to apply for grants. And everywhere I apply, if those priorities are listed in a regional program in our county, I get points for that in a grant application. Is it a priority for your county? If we're not listed anywhere. So as you do, which is exactly what you're doing, again, donating your time and everything else, please just remember, transportation is a priority for many people. Again, we have a lot of people that are transportation dependent. That's why they're transportation disadvantaged. So that has to be a priority, whatever else you do for any plans. If that is listed, we get additional points on our grant applications, and hopefully we continue to secure funding to keep helping these kind of programs.
Excellent. All right. Gwen,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Unexpected. I think it's great that you are able to maintain your VMT with the decline of staff availabilities and drivers. And I think that's really, really great.
Challenging.
Challenging. I have a question in reference to these trips. Do they begin and end within the county? Because I know living in the South Florida region, we do cross county quite a bit. If these trips would require, for example, if there's a medical service that's in Broward County, do we provide that service for these personnel as well?
So Palm Beach County, we only provide trips within Palm Beach County. However, we have an agreement with Broward County TOPS. They'll go to Broward to our transfer area there, and they'll come up and pick them up and take them down to Broward County. Or of course, we would encourage them to use the Tri-Rail or Brightline, and that would be the easiest thing. But it's not easy to coordinate inter-county transportation, and it hasn't been like that for a while. I think we're getting closer with technology now than we ever have in the past. But because if Mr. Goodwin wanted to go to Fort Lauderdale, he'd have to call us and book his trip to Meisner Park, then call TOPS in Broward and get them to pick us up and say, okay, pick me up here, then there. So it's hard, and it also half-hour window, you have to wait, and then you have to do this, and it's like a 4-hour trip to go, maybe hop over the county line, and it's difficult. It's not easy. If we didn't overextend ourselves as much as we do, we could probably talk about that inter-county transportation a little bit better. Now, the ones that hurt the most are actually the northern part of the county, because there's no way someone from Martin County, and there's people that are calling sometimes and saying, we're right over the Martin County line. Can you just pick us up and take us to County Line Road, which is literally right there? But I always say when I moved down here from New Jersey to Florida, it's like the counties are like your shopping carts and everything locks. You can't go across that county because that's my funding, your funding. So it's just funny.
Lou, is there any chance?
That was a good question. Go ahead, sir.
Is there any chance of the transfer point being at Town Center Mall again?
They don't want us there.
Oh,
Sorry. So that's why we're at Meisner. Yeah.
And there'll be a Brightline stop there soon too. So perhaps that can.
Yeah. We
add
could probably
some-
use that.
Yeah. we
Yeah.
can Talk about
Yeah.
that. That was an excellent presentation, as you can hear from all of our comments. And I always love seeing the very minuscule amount of complaints that you get. I just think about just in local government, we get complaints about, water fountains, all kinds. So if we were to do a ratio like that, I don't know how good it would look in
We
comparison.
appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank
so
you.
much. Thank you all.
It's nice to see what you all are doing. So thank you so much.
I had one last slide, and it's just to let you know, please, when it comes out, just consider again approving our annual operating report so we can move on with that.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you
let's
so
get you
much.
moving on. So any other comments? And we don't have any public comment. All right, so not seeing any comments, so I'm seeking a motion to approve fiscal year 2022 for the annual operating report. May I get a motion in a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Ms. Kramer, yeah. All right, Ms. Kramer's our motion and Mr. Goodman's the second. And let's see, no further discussion. Let's get a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes. Thank you so much. Well done. Good luck for your next step.
Claudia, thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to our fiscal year annual expenditure report, the AER. So our TPA staff, Greg, our liaison, will be presenting this. Hello again.
Hello again. Good afternoon, members. This afternoon, I'll be presenting the annual expenditure report. This is a short report. Basically, some of the information you saw on the AOR, you'll see some of it here, but this is a short report that that details, next slide. So the AER is a document that detail all direct federal and local government funds spent on transportation disadvantage. And also keep in mind that it does not include the state fund other than the local match. And the numbers are reflected here for fiscal year 22. So just like you saw in the AOR, you see the number of trips is 744,000 that PalmTran connection provide. And the expenditure is 33 million. So this number was submitted to the CTD as a requirement to report to them annually as part of our planning process. The next slide is the alternative, transportation alternative. We didn't have anything to report this year. I think last year with the CARE fund, there was some trip paid with for maybe like taxi or Lyft, but this year there was nothing to report. And that's my presentation.
So,
Lou.
so the AER is a report that the Transportation Disadvantage Commission wants to make go away. They don't want this, but it's in a Florida statutes. So they have to go and get this fixed because it's what really it's meant for is some counties have some CTCs, community transportation coordinators, have 3 counties or 2 counties. And also some counties look to the local cities or someone else to support the program because they can't afford it. So this would show, as you saw with that slide, it's all county money. So there's nothing else, but you might be getting money like if we were to get creative here, maybe the Children's Services Council will give us $100,000, or the United Way would give us some money to do something, or the City of the Gardens would give us some money to, but you know, that's where that would come into play. But here, it's just all taken care of by the.
Well, you never know. That's
You never
great.
know.
Okay.
No, it's
All right,
yeah.
so it's kind of a housekeeping item.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any questions from our board? No, and we don't have any public comment cards. So this is just an information item. Thank you, Greg. Don't go too far because we've got you coming back up. We're going to talk about member training for our board.
Okay, this one won't be so short. So every year, we are required as the DOPA or the planning agency to provide a member training. And some of you guys here have been here for long enough. So this training will be a refresher from some of you. And for the new members, this training will be actual training to learn more. And hopefully I can teach everyone something here today. So this is an outline of the training. So I'll be talking about the transportation disadvantage, the LCB duties, and in the section for administration. So we do have a lot of acronyms. So starting with the acronyms to give you guys, help you guys get familiar with DOPA, CTD. So the CTD is basically from at the state level, this entity was created, I believe, in the 80s by the legislature, and the members are appointed by the governor at the CTD. So they coordinate the TD service. The DOPA and this role is the Palm Beach CPA, where we provide the planning services. Then the CTC, actually PalmTran. And the DOPA basically would declare the CTC every year as part of their process. So we work collaboratively together as a partner agency. And the LCB is actually you guys here today and who serve as a advisor to the CTC, which is PalmTran. So the TD is basically, it describes those people with the most vulnerable population, people who has physical or mental disabilities or an income status, the lower income population, and there's the age barrier. So that's those most people that the TD program is set to serve. And as you can see in the graphic, it basically illustrates, as we were mentioning earlier, the most people that use the service is the elderly, the low income and disabled. So this chart illustrates that pretty well. And this is a org chart. It's pretty confusing if you look at it, but I'll go through it and explain to you so you can understand the relationship between all the different entities in here. So we do add some logos to help you read it much better. So the CTC is an independent state agency, as I mentioned, was created by the Florida legislature in 1989 to deliver coordination of transportation services in each county. And so that's really at the top of the slide. Then you look at where TPA stands as the DOPA, which is the official body or agency designated by the CTD to fulfill the function of transportation disadvantage planning. For example, the administration, the evaluation that we'll be doing, and updating the TDSP like we adopted at the last meeting. The CTD, as I mentioned, is PalmTran, and that ensured coordination of transportation services by providing service to serve the transportation disadvantaged population. PalmTran Connection is basically amazing in doing and serving the population 7+ trips, as you can see that they provide. And the LCB, as I mentioned, is the advisory board establishing by the state, by further statutes to advise the CTD, to advise the CTC. Now I'll move on to LCB overview. So the LCB is the advisory entity in each designated service area composed of representatives appointed by the Metropolitan Planning Organization or designated official planning agency to assist the community transportation coordinator relative to the coordination of transportation services as defined in the Florida Status 427. We currently have 18 members and 3 vacancies. We do have a member for the private to represent the private driver, I believe, that will be going before our board to fill that position. So we soon will be at about 2 vacancies. On the next slide, you can see the stakeholders who represent different agencies. You can see where our vacancies are. So Palm Beach Community Action recently had this vacancy because that person moved to a new position. And as I mentioned, the private transportation industry, we do have an interested member who's going before the board to be formally appointed to this body. And you can find this slide on our TPA website if you want to see the actual faces of, the actual names of the member who serve on this, the stakeholders. LCB duties. So annually or per fiscal year, we have 4 quarterly meetings. So we are at halfway mark right now. So this is our 2nd meeting. We do have 2 more meetings left. And we, as you can, and some of the items here, we have actually doing pretty good. We did the bylaw, we have the grievance, and thank you for the volunteers who on our grievance committee. And today we did the AER. So we are doing pretty good in fulfilling our duties as a body. And you will see before the end of the year, we'll be doing the evaluation, which is a fun experience to actually doing interviews and actually go on a ride and see the user experience for the customers. From previous staff members, this is always a good practice of experiencing how to improve the service. As I mentioned, this is the timeline. We are on our second meeting. We have 2 more meetings. One in February 22nd, and the last meeting for the fiscal year will be in May 24. And the CTC evaluation will be start ranging from over the months, the last quarter. So I'll be contacting you guys to make arrangement between the TPA staff and PalmTran staff to see how we're going to organize for the evaluation. So as I mentioned, this is almost like your business plan, you could say. It has all the requirements that mandated by the state, and we do an annual update. And this year we did a major update that's done every 5 years, where we basically look toward the document and see what needs to be updated, what been changed, and how can we improve services, what PalmTran is doing. So that was the document that we adopt at the first meeting. And next year we'll be doing a soft update or annual minor update. Again, as I mentioned, that's the CTC evaluation, which we do survey riders. We go out, we speak with the drivers, the customers, and we get to evaluate the system, how it's function and operate. And I believe sometimes the driver doesn't know if we are doing the survey or if you are evaluating them. So they have to give you that same experience that they'll give actual customer. LCB administration, that's the last section. As we had adopted the bylaw that we adopted at the last meeting is, as any bylaw, is a guideline or procedure to actually help run this body. And Chapter 427 define all the requirements on how to run the meeting and set requirements for the TD service in LCB. So all that can be done, all that can be seen in our bylaw. And I know Mr. Goodman wants an actual copy, so that will be provided to you today, depending on the time of the meeting. The next part is the grievance procedure. So as you saw earlier, PalmTran has, I believe, 1,500 complaints. And so this 1,500 complaints, and actually the grievance committee have not gathered to see any of this complaint. That's a testament to see how well they are doing, actually help resolve those complaints that they receive. So this is a 2-part process where PalmTran will receive a complaint, whether it's by email, phone call. They document it within 24, 48 hours to decide if it's a safety-related complaint or not, and they help to resolve it. In the event that they are unable to resolve a complaint, then the customer will basically reach out to the TPA or the DOPA to basically work out the complaint, and we will work with the complainer to see how can we resolve it. And if we are unable to resolve it, then that's when I'll reach out to the grievance committee to say there's a complaint that PalmTran was not able to resolve. TPA work with them, was able to resolve it. So we need you to gather to hear the grievance complaint and then to help resolve it. And this is what this chart is trying to show you, but we did it in a way so you guys can understand it. But it's good to know that PalmTran is doing a great job, that we never reach that far. And voting powers, you guys have voting powers. And the point I want to highlight here is basically if you are here, you cannot abstain from voting. This is by state statutes, you are required to vote, and this is part of this that we want you to know that is required of you. And this is my presentation. Thank you.
All right, Lou, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered everything unless you guys have any questions with anything.
Great job, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, we are all trained. Okay, Mr. Goodman.
Not a question for him, but having been to a meeting since last spring, and we used to get copies of these reports in front of us that we could look at. And I mean, for me, I can't, my vision and my hearing have gotten worse since last time I was here. And I can't see the screens at all. I'd like to go back to getting, copy in front of us.
Okay, so I think we'll check with our staff. The full agenda is available online, but we can very happily provide you with printouts well ahead of the meeting. Thank you for saying that. Right? Okay, so we're going to move on. So this is the voluntold time. If anyone has to go, I think you can, but I'd love for everyone to stay for Michael Corbett's going to tell us a little bit about CareerSource. And so you're our one presentation today, sir.
Okay, I'll try to run through it quickly since we're out of time. My name is Michael Corbett. I'm a vice president at CareerSource Palm Beach County. You're going to have to bring the presentation up. There you go. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to give you an employment and unemployment update and what we do programs and services. I'm a big picture guy, and these are mega regions around the United States. There's 11. We are the 5th largest mega region in the country right now. So we're competing with these other mega regions up in the Northeast, the Midwest, Texas, the Carolinas, Georgia, and now California to bring companies to our county. And we're being very successful in doing that. Talking about jobs, our labor force is approaching 11 million people in the state of Florida. Our unemployment in the county is 2.6%. We've never seen it that low. You can see that we've added about 443,000 jobs in the last 12 months. That's incredible that we've done that during the pandemic and at the end of the pandemic. The pay actually there's 526,000 available jobs in the state of Florida. So there's a lot of jobs. The wages in our county in demand occupation industries is $47,000 a year. And our total wage is $68,000. That is the highest in the state of Florida. So the county is in very good shape thanks to the leadership and all the businesses that are here. But more importantly, at the bottom right there, there's 34,000 open jobs in the county versus 20,000 people that are unemployed. So if you know anyone that is looking for a job, there's jobs out there for them. Don't hesitate to refer them to us. Here's a breakdown by industry and sector. You can see the industries that are very strong, obviously healthcare and education, trade, transportation, utilities, leisure, hospitality is almost back to where it was before the pandemic, and then the other industries below that. But look at the center column. Every industry is growing jobs, and that's consistent month over month. This is a good slide to talk about for just a moment. These are gig jobs that we have in the community. These are people that have side hustles or are parsing together 2 or 3 jobs to make a go. The blue bubble is traditional work jobs. You can see 8 million jobs there. Non-traditional work arrangements is about 856,000. But the lime green bubble at the bottom is the gig workforce, 745,000. That number is growing in our county. It's roughly 1/3 of our employment now. Through the pandemic, a lot of people wanted to start their own businesses. They got some funding, they've kind of moved along, but this area of the gig economy is growing not only in Palm Beach County, but in the state of Florida and across the country. This chart represents the Florida Chamber Foundation's Florida 2030 plan. This started back in 2010 with Governor Scott to try to grow the economy in the state of Florida. And there's 2 websites right there, Florida2030.org and the FloridaScorecard.org. These are good websites to take a look at to see where the state is going county by county. But the 6 pillars, if you ever hear Mark Wilson from the Florida Chamber Foundation speak, he says, if you don't have the first column, the blue column, talent and workforce and education, the other 5 columns really don't matter. Right now, we are the 15th largest economy in the world, the state of Florida, believe it or not. We passed Indonesia and Mexico a couple of months ago, but the goal is by 2030 to have the 10th largest economy in the world. That's really hard to put your head around, but it's true. Training grants and incentives that we offer at CareerSource, on the job training, if you have a candidate that's about 60–70% of what it needs to be, they would like them to get trained up to 100%. We encourage the company to hire the individual. We put them on a short training plan, and we can reimburse the company for half of their salary for 3 months. So if a company hires somebody at $20 an hour, they successfully go through the training program, the OJT, we reimburse the company half of that $20 an hour for 3 months. That's our most popular program. Customized training is to help upgrade skills to obtain another industry certification. That's popular as well. And then the incumbent worker trainings administered by the state. It just has to be a for-profit business. Nonprofits can't take advantage of that one. Veteran services, we have 9 people on staff that assist veterans, their spouses and families to gain employment. Last week was Veterans Week, Veterans Day. We did a really good job fair. This is called Paychecks for Patriots. This is a very positive program. Youth and young adult, these are for kids from 17 to 24 years old that really don't know what direction they want to go in life. They're trying to make a career change or figure out what industry they want to go into. We put them in a 5-week career prep class. We pay them a stipend. If they leave early or come late, we dock their pay. So very quickly, they figure out how to be accountable to come to work and learn how to get a job and improve their soft skills. We love doing this. We do it in West Palm Beach. We started rotating around, and it's also out in Belle Glade. Sorry, let me go back. For this group disability and our special needs department, we have 3 people on staff full-time that help these people come in. And they really want to try to find work. They just need to be onboarded with a company. And I'll tell you a good story about this. A lot of good stories in this department. Young lady was in her mid-30s. She was deaf and she had a great attitude. She really wanted to work. We found a hotel down in South County that was willing to take her on to run the the housekeeping department. She came in and she was showing up. She was doing what she could do, but because she was deaf, she couldn't hear the cycle changes with the washers and dryers. So we contacted the manufacturers. Can we retrofit this? No problem. They put in a lighting system. Problem solved. She was great. She actually helped hire another deaf person to be in her department through us. So when it works, it's beautiful to see those success stories. Prepare and reentry, we actually have 3 people on staff full-time that go into the prisons and jails. They help the prisoners get prepared to come out with resumes, interviewing skills, job search, soft skills, and so forth. Another good story. Fellow was in prison 24 years. 24 years. We went and helped him out, got him ready to go. He had some good experience with his hands, trades, and so forth. Construction company hired him. In 4 years, he has been promoted 3 times and now is a manager and has 4 people working underneath him. So the system works when it works. This slide shows where our footprint is. We have an office on Belvedere and then an office out in Belle Glade. So at the start of the pandemic, I thought, why should we make people drive to those 2 locations? We have 17 county libraries and 13 municipal libraries. So we started training their staff to offer frontline services. So people could comfortably go to their local library and receive services. We actually now rotate staff around these libraries across the county to try to really take more intensive services and things that need to be done. And we have been putting staff at the college and at some other locations. So we are not just in 2 locations, we're in about 25 or 30 locations. At the bottom left, you see 2 job fair flyers. I love to do job fairs. Anytime you can put job candidates in front of hiring managers, good things happen. So I'm going to wrap up here in a second. I'm going to talk about our learners pathway, our career pathways. This happens to be healthcare, one of our largest industries. If you look up at the top right by the state, you'll see we have about 134,000 jobs projected in healthcare in Palm Beach County by the year 2025. That's an 8% increase. On the left are all the services that are provided by high school, their certificate programs, associate degrees, BS degrees, and graduate degrees. And as you go across in those various sectors, you can see what possible job you can have and what it pays. And why this is important is we started cataloging with all the higher education institutions in the school district, every degree and certificate program within this industry. And you can see in Palm Beach County, there's a tremendous amount in healthcare, a large amount. So we can see and track where the students are, when they're coming out, and we can help them gain an internship and a full-time job once they graduate. So this learner's pathway is available in every industry, manufacturing. It doesn't matter if it's legal, professional business services. This is very important. So my last slide is to talk about a couple of new projects we're working on. Top right is Project Rack that we're working on with the Business Development Board. A distribution company is expanding in Boynton Beach. They'll be hiring about 200 to 250 people. Project Cypress is a company that came from Vancouver, British Columbia. I met with a fellow a couple of weeks ago. He has 50 employees in Canada, but half of his business is in the United States. And he selected West Palm Beach to open his practice, his technology practice here. He'll hire 50 or 60 people within the next 12 months. Nice, high skill, high wage jobs. That's exactly what we want for the county. The other one is a air conditioning company at the top right, and then Loggerhead Marina in Juno Beach. They have a brand new facility that's just going gangbusters. They've got their stuff up open and up and running. We'll help them staff. City of Boca Raton has numerous openings. Johnson & Johnson and Gardens, they have a robotics medical facility they're expanding. We'll help them. Ideal Nutrition, and then Azure Health is a new company that came from South America. So we always have new projects. On Monday, I met with Gary at the BDB, a new company from Israel that's in technology, and I think he'll come here. So that's a big part of my job is economic development. But that's what I have for you today. I hope that was informative.
That was extraordinarily informative. Thank you so much. And thank you all for, I got you, for taking the time to tell us about what you're doing. I hope it's helping you understand some of your fellow board members as well. Michael, that was great. And then if anyone here needs a copy of your slideshow or anything like that, we'll make sure it's available. Okay, Mr. Goodman.
Do you have any statistics on employment of people with disabilities that come through your agency?
I'm sure we have that. I didn't put it on the slides today. But we have 3 staff members that focus exclusively on that. We have to report those numbers just like reentry, disability, youth and young adult. We're funded by the U.S. Department of Labor, so that information is obviously available.
Any other questions at all for Michael or anything about CareerSource? No? Thank you so much. Who hasn't gone that would like to present in the next quarter? Don't everybody raise your hand. I think Marie, you're up. Okay, so we'll have FDOT next time. And has everyone else gotten to go? I'm trying to think. No, okay. Thank you so much. For the next meeting. Yeah, you have 3 months. Okay, wonderful. That's great. And again, thank you so much. That was really, really excellent. Next, we're moving on to partner agency updates. I don't know if we have anyone because are you going, Lou, of course, will have some things to say.
Yeah, I think I was going to
sure.
do my CTC. Thank you, right?
All right.
CTC update on this one. So I've been asked to continue to do this. I'm going to stay here. It seems like the mic is a little bit better when I'm sitting down. So CTC update for this month. I don't know what that means. I'm good. Yes. Okay. So the PalmTran service update, a quick talk about what's going on with PalmTran. Ridership across all modes of service, which is fixed route, connection, and Go Glades in September of 2022 has increased by 2.8% compared to the same period in 2021. The current overall impact of COVID-19 to PalmTran public transit is an estimated negative 30.4%. Now, we actually would have been a little higher in September if not for Hurricane Ian. So So we would have been a little higher there. On Tuesday, September 20th, the Go Glades service reported the highest daily ridership since the service started in December 2018, had 398 passengers. So throughout the pandemic, actually, Go Glades was the only one that actually improved ridership, and it's continued to be a success out there. And they're actually probably getting the best service in Palm Beach County because they have a mobility on demand service there. So we actually have an app they can go on, they can do it right from their phone and get a vehicle there. So that's pretty cool. Both fixed route and connection are still experiencing challenges with driver shortage, which Claudia mentioned. And the connection request for proposal for new providers has been postponed once again until 2023. So just really quick on that. So Palm Train Connection on the paratransit side, we have two providers, MV and First Transit. And the contract, the 7-year contract ended on December 31st of last year. And we've done extensions and tried to get RFPs out, except the companies keep replying and not listening to what, or not reading what we want them to do. And the first go around, they didn't put some of the requirements for EEO or drug and alcohol, or one didn't have a system service plan properly, so they ought to be thrown out. And the second one, we fixed all that to make sure they understood what it was. And the next one, they just couldn't find facilities properly, or they didn't properly show that they have a facility in hand. It said you needed a letter of intent, a signed lease with contingent upon award, or you have to own a building. None of them had any of that. So I can't do that if they don't have a facility. So it's been difficult. So we're going to try this again in 2023. We've extended our current providers right now, and the service is going well. Does anyone have any questions on that slide by any chance?
Just about the Go Glades. So do you think that we'll see more application of services like that throughout the county if it's so successful out there?
Yes. So our planning department at Palm Tran is working on microtransit in certain areas in the county. So we're looking at how we can put that type of service, let's say, for example, near St. Mary's in West Palm Beach, and draw a little line there where we can do some microtransit. First and last mile is big. So it's trying to get someone from like the gated communities or from their home to the fixed route. That would be the first thing we want to do. And then some of that microtransit within that area. So we do have a plan in our, Claudia had mentioned our TDP, which is the Transportation Development Plan, which is the Palm Tran plan. And we have some things coming up for that as well. So, yep.
All right, great. So maybe by the time we start riding around in the 3rd to 4th quarter, we can
Hopefully we'll have something
experience some of
going.
that. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
It's exciting. Yep. It's inevitable that we have to change the way we think about transportation now, right? Everyone knows that just a big fixed route bus or a little paratransit bus, or however you want to say, that's not the future. We have to figure out how we can come up with new innovative ways to get around. And I know Valerie back there, although she sits all alone back there, she's been saying this since she got to Palm Beach County in transportation. She's like, why are we doing this now? Now. So we're trying. We'll get there. So this is just a dashboard. Hopefully you can see it. But again, it's just one of those things where September 2022, a dashboard of some of the ridership. You can see in fixed route, we had about over 500,000 riders. Connection, we had 62,000. Go Glades had 8,600. And again, pretty much just a dashboard showing you what's going on. Riders per revenue hour on fixed route was 13.7. On connection was 1.44. Go Glades 4.28. So we actually, our goal was 3, and we get 4.28 per revenue hour. And as you can see, the complaints are not too high, and so we're hitting numbers pretty good. I just wanted to see, does anyone have any questions about that? That's just one of those highlights. And then this just shows again the reality of our world. Back in January of 2020, we were at about 3,600, 3,500 trips, went all the way up to 3,700 completed trips, and then it just dropped during the pandemic. But as you can see, it's steadily going up. In the summer, traditionally, our ridership goes down, and it goes back up when the snowbirds and school starts. So it's just kind of a trend to show you the ridership trend throughout the last couple of years. And then this is the slide that you guys usually ask for because it's TD specific. So August, we had about 7,700 TD ridership for TD trips, 12 raw complaints and 7 valid. September, we had 7,654 trips, 5 raw complaints. That means someone just called with a complaint and 2 were valid. And in October, we had 8,784 trips with 10 raw complaints and 2 being valid. Highest one was late drop off, wheelchair securement, vehicle no-show, other, which could be pretty much anything. And unsafe driving was 1 and damaged property was 1. So, but as you can see, the TD ridership is going up. So from September to October, over 1,000 riders for TD. I think that's it. So that's my quick report.
Okay, I think we have one hand up. It's our vice chair.
Yes, and just for the record, Chair Reed, Takesha Saffold has joined the meeting. I had her at 3:18, but she
Okay.
also is
And
hoping
here
to
she-
speak.
and she has a question. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I do apologize for my tardiness. I didn't have the link to join at the beginning of the meeting. I do have a question in regards to the accommodation and complaint department. If there's someone who is working in that department, I guess around the clock, not only myself, but there are others who have stated that they have tried to call, and while you're holding, it may say that there's 1 or 2 people before you, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, I've waited myself 20, 30 minutes, and it's still just the 1 or 2 persons in front of me. And so because of it, it has prevented me from, and not just me, but others, to file a complaint or an accommodation. And then over a period of time, you tend to forget. And some of the complaints and accommodations are very relevant as it relates to the service. And so that's one of my questions and concerns is there someone there that's able to take in, the complaints and accommodations during those hours?
So the complaint department actually falls within the customer service department under our public relations department. So I'll get that information back to them. But I think they're only open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. However, if you were to call one of the reservationists, if you call anyone like that, you can let them know you have a complaint, and they can take a quick complaint for you, where then the complaint department can then follow up with you for more information. So all of our reservationists and dispatch assistants, if you need that immediate help, you can let them know about a complaint. They'll take, as I said, a quick complaint, because they're not going to be as thorough, but that will at least have it logged so you don't forget, or you don't have that problem, and then we'll have them call you back. But I'll have the customer service supervisor over customer service give you a ring anyway to explain how they're doing. I know they're down 1 staff member, but you shouldn't be on hold for 30 minutes. And you should also have the ability to leave a message as well, where they'll call you back. But I'll follow up with him on that.
Yes, and I've done it as well. I've left a voicemail and haven't received the phone call. And I don't want to spend too much time on this subject, but just to kind of put this out, this is one of the questions that I was saving for this meeting, is that telephone numbers on the driver's manifest, which from my understanding, drivers are not supposed to call clients. But my concern is that if they're not supposed to call clients, then why are the numbers on the manifest? Which I think that sort of, it sort of kind of invades, some of our privacy, where we have drivers who have our telephone numbers. I did have a driver, which was my complaint, who actually called me from their personal phone. And I haven't had that happen in some time. But, he was unaware, and, I just didn't understand, well, why would my number be there anyway? And, some of these drivers, even after not working for Palm Train at some point, if that's the case, it just makes me uncomfortable to know that my number is on there with drivers who have access to my personal number. And so is it some way that could be removed? If drivers are not supposed to call clients, then why is it on there for them to be able to see what your telephone number is?
Thank you for that. So since we've never heard this before as a complaint or anything like that, sure, I can check into that. I think that's just a general setting that Trapeze has. Because remember, Trapeze makes their product for everyone in the country and outside the country. And that's just one of their settings, because probably some drivers do call. But since this is, and I'm happy to hear this is the first time you ever received a phone call. So yeah, I don't see why they would need it on the MDT. So I'm going to get Trapeze to remove it. Well, that's what I request. Yeah, no problem. And Takesha, you could always call me too if you ever need anything. So you have my cell phone. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Lou is very, very available. Everybody, if you ever, we can publish your phone number. And then Takesha will make sure that you have the Zoom information for next month or next quarter. All right, and thank you so much again, Lou. I don't think we have any other partner updates. So guess what? We are done. Our next meeting is on February 22nd. We'll have FDOT and Vocational Rehab Department presenting. So you guys have a couple months and few holidays in between. You guys have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you in February. We are adjourned.